Morning. So it's a good bit brighter. I started this painting drawing last night, and I'm going to do a bit of painting to it now, I think. Although I'll probably finish drawing that sunflower first, I'd say. I'm not sure of the time, but I'm taking Lily to school shortly, so that's why I decided that I was going to do this first rather than my yoga and stuff. Because I feel like this is something that was kind of calling me last night, and I thought if I want to keep the momentum up around it, you know. My name is Anya Devine. For anyone who hasn't tuned in here before, you're very welcome. Okay, so a lot has changed in terms of lighting, of course. There's a lovely bright light outside the window there now that's outlining the petals in such a way that they read as being darker than the sky, whereas these petals up here are brighter. And then there's some here that are also brighter. I wonder, do I need to draw first? I don't know, actually. I think maybe the boldest step would be to do some of that light. I've got this colour, I think it's called Wedgwood, and it to me reads as being fairly close to the sky colour, I reckon. That's it there. Sorry, I thought you could see. It's Wedgwood Blue System 3 acrylic. I'm using acrylic, and I think because I did the painting of the sunflowers last week in oil, I said I'd show that to you last night, and I never did. I'll get it in a minute now. I did it in oil, and it's really thick. Do you know, I'm just going to get it now, actually. That's it there. The paint is very thick on it. Where's the microphone? Sorry. I have to put this down to get the microphone on. Dearie me. Anyway, the point is that the paint is quite thick where the bright petals are. And you know, it's taking a long time to dry. They say that about oil paint, don't they? But still, I've been a bit impatient about that one. Because I was thinking of taking it to a gallery in Edinburgh. Been asking for flowers. Okay. You know what I thought about that, actually? I thought, do you know what I could do? I could treat the request from galleries as important as like the book festival things that I went to, and structure in time to make paintings for exhibitions. You know, to actually dedicate, to structure my time so that I know for sure I am painting at such and such a time every day. I think if I was my own coach, which I guess I am since there's an absence of other coaches, if I was my own coach, I would say to me to study how I already operate in a day and see when my best times are. Like, I know in the mornings I feel up for, generally I feel good, you know, like at this time of the morning I feel like I'm pretty clear and clean and interiorly anyway. And you know, I feel like it's a good time for me to work. And then there's other times when maybe I'm less up for it, so we'll see. Those kind of things I think are helpful in planning and making a plan so that we kind of honour our own rhythms. Sorry, I'm down here mixing the white paint with the Wedgwood because to me the sky looks brighter than the Wedgwood alone. Now that white paint in there, at least the stuff that was in the cover, has gone a bit hard. And I'm not going to the studio for the other box, for the other tub of paint unless I really have to. I'm also annoyed that I didn't, well there now. Got kitchen paper here, that's what I want. Or else a second palette knife so that I can take the colour out of the white tube without making it all blue. I found a load of palette knives yesterday when I was clearing up the studio in Kilkenzie, but I left them there. I left them there because I was filling the car with stuff for the recycling centre, and it's still full because there was a strike on when I got to the recycling place until tomorrow. So I'm going to need to empty the car before, at least a space for Lily to get in before I take her to school shortly. So I have got a fairly little, I've got a little window here, which is no harm. In fact, it can be a very good thing, a small window. And it could also mean that I'd come back to it wanting more. Now, I'm putting more and more white in there as I look at the sky. I don't need this much paint for that little bit of sky, but well, maybe, we'll see. I'll see whereabouts I'm going to put it now. And see if it's going to do what I want it to do. I have some idea of what I'm hoping will happen here. Okay, do you know, to be honest, it's not even behind. When I situate myself where I was last night, it's not that. There's only a small bit of sky behind it, really. The rest is window and stuff. But there's something very bright here too that I could use the sky colour for. And I might end up inventing more sky if I feel like it's a helpful thing to describe the colour of the petals. Contrast to that, you know, it's quite an extreme thing, isn't it, that colour in relation to the yellow. And I'm hoping that it'll go for me, that contrast, rather than against me. Right, where am I now? That's that. A couple of little bits and pieces there. Okay. Yeah, the white paint is definitely a little bit thicker than normal. So I'm having to work at it a bit. No, this is an invention. This is actually window rather than sky, but I think I like the way that the sky is outlining the brightness, or the yellowness, I suppose, of the sunflower. And so I'm going to carry on using it, at least in a few more places. With care, though, I need to kind of regularly lean back to be sure I'm happy with what's happening. It's interesting because above there is actually darker than the petal, but in front is lighter. Yeah. I think it really now needs to be very carefully managed where I put the light and dark so that it reads as convincing. I'm just going to put a line of masking tape here to represent hopefully a vertical edge rather than a diagonal edge. Sometimes I don't put it exactly where it needs to go, the tape. But it looks pretty vertical to me there now. That's grand. It's okay for now. See how I get on with it. I like seeing that. I like being surprised by things, and there's some things here. It's lovely to see that the green. It's lovely to see that the green leafy things behind the petals there are actually brighter than the background. So I'm going to try and make them now with some lemon yellow. And just put in the cobalt blue, so hopefully I'll manage to make it with this. I mean, I have the Wedgwood as well, of course, but I think it's more the cobalt and lemon yellow that'll get me to this green. Two colours there. And of course there's a bit of white on the brush still, which actually is helpful here because it does feel to me like I need to put a bit more white in to make it the pale yellowy green colour that I'm seeing here. Maybe you could tell me in the comments below whether you would rather me to have the camera right up close to my picture, or you'd rather be able to see the setup and my picture. Because that's what I'm assuming by putting it at a distance like this, is that you would benefit from seeing the sunflowers as well. But I might be wrong there. I suppose ideally I'd have a team of camera folk sorting all of that out in advance and have a close-up option and zooming in and all that. It's interesting, isn't it? And Jim did that a few times with he had a couple of, I think one time we had 2 or 3 cameras set up. And another time Rose, my friend from Norway, did that with, she zoomed in with her camera and kind of found a view that worked for the full thing, but with the zoom option. What am I doing now? I'm trying to find the, okay, so that's that there. The light bits of the screen. You know, that green stuff that shoots back. They're not exactly leaves, I don't think. There's a bit here that could do with a different shade. It needs a warmth to it, but I'm going to just touch the bit at the back that is the colour that I've got there. And now I see that the other sunflower across here has got a little bit of green too, hiding behind. Like there. And then somehow here as well. I need to watch my tones as well, that I'm not just making it all the same shade of green, because it does, there are adjustments to these. There's one. So here, there. There are areas where the green gets significantly darker, obviously, as it goes left away from the light. But these do still have flashes of brightness on them, these 2 bits here. And that bit up at the top as well seems to, so I'm redrawing some of these because I've realised that the position of them isn't exactly where I assumed it was last night, where I saw it to be last night, I suppose. So I'm changing the drawing as I go, and I'd recommend, I think that's a good thing to do to keep yourself fresh to what's occurring. That you don't assume that the drawing is right and just colour it in. Sometimes that might be the way you want to work, because you might love the composition you've found for yourself. But I would recommend, when you're working from life, to let the life surprise you all the time and make new decisions. Okay, yeah, there's just a couple more. I want to get all the brighter ones painted down before making another colour for the background. Because there's a bright background behind here that's also really satisfying to look at. What am I doing now? Yeah, so I'm going to do a few more light. This one is very bright, it's almost white really. Just take a bit more of the white. Yeah, this poor sunflower seems to have fallen a little bit overnight. Or else I was optimistic in its brightness last night and I'd lifted those up higher than they were, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to keep that because that's something I don't want to see freshly. I want it to still be open as best, as open as possible. I'm resisting the urge to go up and check that Lily's awake. Just let her be her own boss now around this. And trust her, because generally she does follow through. But sometimes she doesn't hear her alarm in the morning, and so that, it's not always the case either. So I do need to sometimes make sure that she's up. Right. Kind of not so keen to put the light on the petal, on the stems for some reason. Let me just try it and see why. Oh yeah, that's okay actually. Seems on this one it's helpful. Okay. And there's a bit there too, but it's a different colour. And the one on this side is very thin. So I'm going to lay it on and then make it thin with my finger, because I was just not able to keep it that thin with the brush. It's quite a fine sliver of light that's on the front of that one. This is just a damp brush now that I'm shaving the paint off so that it leaves a very thin ridge. A clean damp brush. These are from the Burgundy brush set by Royal and Langnickel. I like the Burgundy brush set for its firm bristles. Just gonna check. Oh, I can't check the time, can I? No, it's not telling me what time it is. Oh, I think it just made you darker. Sorry. Oh, come on. Hopefully it'll adjust again. Okay. Well, that's been 17 minutes, and I think I started around 20 to 10. So we're okay for another 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, so back here, it's not the colour of the sky, but it's close enough. But I don't want it to be made with the same colours, so I'm going to use Payne's Grey and I think white, or just even what's on the brush, to mix with the Payne's Grey. No, it needs to be, it's too green what's on the brush. I'm not sure I'm liking this. It's just a bit too fiddly. And if there even needs to be a line there, I don't know, but here, I'll leave it for now. So Payne's Grey and white to make a colour for the lining of the curtain that sits behind these yeah, so the lining of the curtain is brighter than the greenery below it, but there's bright green above there that's lighter than the curtain again. So it's important to keep an eye on tones as I'm painting the background in. had thought that I would end up doing a lot more on the yellow, but I'm actually painting it in the background a lot more, aren't I? Right, what's happening here now? So down from that shape, so all these little bits. Again, I think they might have dropped overnight, so there's a little bit of a change there. After my purist kind of tendencies there, saying look freshly and all that, I'm not going to change where all these petals are, just if they've withered a little bit, especially if it's working for the painting for them to be where they are. And I think it is. There's not huge shifts, but just some things are a bit kind of unsettling around it. Okay. Alright, let me just see now what the yellow is going to do. I've got some cadmium yellow here. Which is the nice warm bright yellow. That colour. I think it's quite good for sunflowers. The light anyway on the sunflower. But I might need to mix it with a bit of orange in places. Let's just see what it looks like. So that's there. Trying to find my way. Yeah, there's a bright bit of yellow here, and then there. It looks almost like lemon yellow, this cadmium, so it's not the satisfying richness that I'm wanting really. And I think it's rather than just put white in it, I could try that. Might need a bit of white actually, but I have a feeling that what's needed here is more warmth, more of a cadmium orange into it, as well as white probably. I suppose the white will make it denser at least as well. Yeah, that might work. Let's see. Let's scoop it up. And what I've got here is a very white sunflower. I'll put some more cadmium yellow back into it again. So it's probably no harm to stop fairly soon so that I can get my colour that I really want. I think it'll be a mix of cadmium orange maybe and cadmium yellow or something else anyway. I'll see what I can find. Yeah, because it's definitely not that colour yellow. I'm really murdering that petal. I suppose even if it's a lighter colour and then I put the warm orangey yellow over it, it'll help. You know, to paint the brighter petals more thickly is helpful. They read like they're standing out in relief. So if I've got an underpainting of a lemony yellow, then I can always put cadmium, more of an orange yellow over it, and it'll help, I think. So I think this is time well spent here. Putting a bit of a layer underneath where the bright bits are going to be. I mean, this one's quite bright, but actually the petals over here, the yellow underneath the drawing is actually quite bright anyway. Erin was at a music festival in Leeds. She's coming back today. 4-hour drive down and back. She drove 2 of her friends down. 2 or 3? 2. So Hope she has a safe trip back today now. I stayed for four nights. She got an early bird ticket because she wanted to be there to set up in advance, to get their tents up and everything in the campsite that's closer to the gig, because apparently if you go down the next day you have to walk for miles to get to the music, and obviously back again. So I hope that worked out for her now. I think it did. Lily's been in touch a bit because she's got access to whatever Snapchat or whatever things they're on, and I've still not got my phone. I have been blissfully phone free for 3 weeks now. It'll be 3 weeks tomorrow. Still no idea where it's gone, but I've ordered a phone, and tomorrow it's supposed to arrive. I just got a refurbished Samsung. Okay, I better go and check out the situation with school drop-off. Definitely not the colour of the sunflowers now, but as I say, it'll be an underpainting for the brighter colour when I get back. I'll just show you what's happened there. It's kind of satisfying chiselling out the shape, because I think I'm not sure about the line. I think I might just, I don't really like that so much. I'm gonna wipe it away while it's still, I think it's still wet enough, just to disturb the line a little bit. This board is too small for the paper. I just want the ones to go in the other direction, so I'm turning it that way. And I'll let it that way while I turn off the video now, and I'll see you later on, and I'll take Lily to school. Okay, bye, thanks for joining me.